Greetings again, this is Stasia Bliss. We are doing this video series on your questions. So this question came in, how to see children, and the question was really like how to see their soul and how to bring that soul forward and support them. And I don't know if you saw my recent Facebook Live, I actually did today, so I don't even know what today is. I think it's like the 17th or something of January 2019. So if you research that, I talked about the body and consciousness and death and dying and incarnation and reincarnation and so forth. And I really kind of debunked the idea of a soul per se or spirit per se, not saying that we are soulless, like that term generally denotes being like artificial intelligence. But to me, like the person's soul is really like the spark of the consciousness mission, the heart of the mission in this embodiment, like what this embodiment wishes to express at a very deep heart level. So how to see that and bring it forward in children is a great question. You know, like one thing I've learned by having children is that children are people too. They're just in smaller bodies and they have not yet developed all the languaging and understanding of our plane of existence, but that does not mean they are unwise in many ways and that they are not deep souls and that their consciousness is not vast. And in many times they are teaching us, they are showing us. We have actually become deluded very much by the reality that we're in. And so it's like this push-pull with the children between what they're reflecting back to us of our world that's maybe not working and what they're showing us from the realms beyond. So we get to move between those two things and say, okay, this is something that they've learned as an expression, or no, this is a more of like a soul cry. This is what their heart is trying to bring forward. And when you hear that, when you allow yourself and even make the intention to be able to tune into that, then you can help midwife that in by being the receiver of that information in any moment that it is received. And then if the other happening is going on, if they're reflecting back to you some kind of a block in the system or some disharmony that you're resonating and they're showing that back to you, you can also take that in as a moment of shifting or transforming or having been informed now. Rather than trying to block it or say no or downplay it, also recognize that especially young children under age 8, they're filterless. So they're really just showing you back and forth what's in the environment. What's coming into them is going back out. What's coming into them is going back out. And it's a constant reflection. And then their soul will come through and speak truths. And you can like create a place for them, a landing place for them, and receive them. A lot of these children speak about their past lives, speak about where they've come from. And if they're confronted with like, that's crazy, no way, like that's just a story, that's not true, that shuts them down in that way. So they can't bring that up till later in their life. Whereas if we created a safe landing space, whether or not we can comprehend what they're talking about, like my youngest tells me all the time that he crash landed here in a spaceship, spaceship's gone, I'm not his real mom, it's not his real family, he lost them in space, you know, and he tells me the story over and over again. So I'm like, well, I'm sure there's an element of truth to it. Like, I'm sure in whatever lifetime he remembers or has access to, that's his story, you know, and he's pretty much sticking to it. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to just create a soft place for that to land. I'm not going to like fight him. No, oh, I'm your mom, you know, like fight for the right to be right. That's just silly and unsupportive of him. And at the same time, it pushes me like what else is out there that I don't know about? You know, that this seemingly smaller, younger person is giving me access to, is inviting me along into a greater understanding right now. You know, my older boy used to talk about how he missed his brother. This was before his brother was ever born. And how, you know, they were together, and he would say in China, and the last time he remembers is them running through the field, and that he really, really missed him, and he would cry about it often. And I didn't even really put the pieces together till, you know, it was over 6 years later. Well, I guess he was 2 when he said that, so 4 years later, and his brother was born, and I started to realize this is the brother he was talking about. And so, you know, we can listen, we can validate, We can know that they just have also a soul mission just like us, and just be able to honor that. Hello, thank you for joining me. So we can see children like we can see each other. We can look straight past the facade of the reality that's presented to us right to the heart and see that love is there, see that there's a particular essence wanting to express that's true and valid and loving and lovable, and see that and talk to that part of each other. And I think when we do that, when children feel heard, just like when grown-ups feel heard, we feel validated, we feel loved. Even though grown-ups are in big bodies, we're not a lot different than kids. We also want to be seen, we also want to be validated, we also want to feel like we belong, and we, sometimes walk around acting like we're confident, or, we can still be confident, but that doesn't mean that we feel totally 100% good all the time in ourselves. Everybody needs this validation. Everybody needs this. And children are some of our more vulnerable sized people. We look out for them so they don't get smashed on the road or crushed, or they don't know the rules yet. So we're just, hey, the trains might come by here, don't go there. Like, hey, someone might open the door into you. Like, if you walk behind that driveway, someone might pull out. Like, those are the things we learn how to be safe as grown-ups, and we're confident in that way that we've kind of figured out most of the rules. But kids also have a plug-in to things that grown-ups maybe have dialed out of because we've been busy like looking at the density of reality and trying to like cope with those rules. So when we can trade that and let it be an equal exchange with kids and play at their level and allow them to bring the fun out of us, because we like to have fun too. Grown-ups like to have fun too, and like I think way too serious most of the time, and kids just allow us to come to that level. And so if we go there with them, it also ignites in us a healthy place of love and laughter. So that's all I'm going to say about that. I'd love to hear your comments, feedback. If you want to know more, plus press that like button or share it. Thank you so much for tuning in. See you next time.